if you're someone who's interested in lifelong passion, inspiring others, making a difference in people's lives, and winning national championships, then this episode's for you.
Woo! That's real sturdy. You can find masks just like this one at the Prier USA site. The link is in our bio.
It's been a great journey.
We're approaching episode 20, Stephen.
We are, which is crazy. It's 20 weeks, you know?
It's absolutely mind-boggling. But what I'll say is I think that this has made us better people, and I think that we've gotten to really learn and dive into some pretty amazing stories that our sport has to offer. And it's made me realize that most people that we know through this sport or just through our, own lives have very cool stories to share. And just giving them the stage to do it has really, I would say, filled my soul with a lot of gratitude.
Yeah. Also, just not so different, all of us, really. You hear a lot of these, whether it's talking about the journey to starting fencing and doing it competitively, or the thought process about training and competing. There's a lot of parallels and a lot of themes that continue to come up through these episodes. So that's been cool to explore as well.
Yeah, of course.
Very grateful for the opportunity. Shout out Prier.
Yeah.
Usually we don't have that here, but thank you so much for all your support. Really grateful for this opportunity to continue to do this.
They're making the dream happen.
Yeah. This episode marks a shift in the podcast.
This is special. This is our first NCAA head coach that we're having on. And for us, it's an interesting one because, let's just read off a little bit of bio on this guy.
Let's do it.
And then we'll understand why we're excited to have him on. So today we have a former representative of the New York Athletic Club as a fencer, where he earned many national medals at the junior and senior levels. He is the current Columbia fencing head coach for their NCAA Division I team, where he has won 3 titles, correct?
Correct.
3 NCAA championship titles. He's also the chairman of the New York Athletic Club's fencing program, and he is our daddy,
our handler.
Yeah, our handler, Michael
Aufrichtig.
Woo!
What a welcome.
Thank you, Michael. Did we miss anything on the resume?
No, I think that's a good start.
I think that's a good start.
Yes.
And I believe that, the reason why we're excited to have Michael on is because whether directly or indirectly involved, Michael has been there through the entirety of both of our fencing journeys as both a third person, onlooker / coach / manager of these fencers that Steve and I were competing against before college. And then in college, we were directly competing against Michael when we were at Notre Dame and he's at Columbia. And then now Michael makes our dream a reality as the chairman of the New York Athletic Club's fencing program. So thank you for joining us.
No, this is great. Look, it's nice to be here on the 20th episode.
19.
Oh, 19.
Almost 20.
Almost 20. I've seen
But
4.
19's better because it comes first.
That's true. That's true. I've watched many of them already, and I think you guys are doing a great job. And just listen to you both talking here, it makes me laugh, right? In a good way.
Yeah.
So, no, thank you.
At us or with us?
With you.
Okay.
All right, we'll take it.
Come on, with you.
No, thank you for being here. We're really excited for this one. Excited to hear your stories, both about your own journey, and I'm sure there will be some great stories about the journey with the team as well. Mm-hmm. And just dive into more about your insights into the sport, the state of the sport, state of college athletics. And without further ado, I guess we'll get into it. So the way we like to start off all of our episodes is just asking our guest more about, how'd you get into fencing, why fencing, and then run through your journey with the sport. And you can tell it as a story if you like. You could just answer that little bit of it. But who are you? Where are you from? How'd you get into fencing?
So I'm actually from Brooklyn, New York. Most people know me as a Louisianian, right? When I was 2, my family moved to Shreveport, Louisiana, and I have a sister, and we grew up playing all different sports. I played soccer, baseball, basketball, even football until it was, I guess, 4th grade. Some really big guy blacked me out, and then I was like, all right, no more football. And then, middle school, my father was a runner, and so I got into running. And so by the time I was 13, I was running half marathons. Jeez. And so like my dream was to be an Olympic marathon runner. And I was in a private school, Southfield School is what the name, and through 8th grade. And in 9th grade, this great new program came as a Caddo Magnet High School. And it was about arts and academics. The principal was from Spain. And my parents said, hey, why don't you check this out? So I tested, I got in. And they didn't have football, basketball, or baseball. But they had all these different sports. They had cross-country running, which was great for me. That was going to be my thing. And they also had tennis. And then I didn't know they had fencing at the time, but 2 days before school started, my mom gets a call. And she gets off the phone and she says, Michael, you're signed up for general physical education, but it interferes with advanced French. And down south, we take French. So I took 8 years of French. I'm about to go 9th grade. I placed into advanced French. So my mom said, you're taking advanced French. Do you want to take gymnastics or fencing? Those are my 2 choices. And so I didn't know if gymnastics was cool, but I was like, hey, gymnastics, that can help my running out. And like, what the heck is fencing? And it's swords and everything. And I was kind of checking it out. All right, lunges, maybe that'll help my running. So I took it to help my running. All right. So I take it for the first year, and they teach you foil. And so I'm learning foil, and it's non-electric. This is 1986, I guess, 1985. It's somewhere around there, right? And they're teaching basic moves in foil and footwork, and I kind of do it for the year, and it was cool. So I signed up for a second year. And during that second year, as people are trying to ref us in foil, I never went to a tournament, even my sophomore year in high school, kind of looked to the side. And I see people hooked up electrically fencing épée. And I'm like, what is that? And someone says, oh, that's épée. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. Now, little did I know that, at the time, even now, most épée fencers are very tall, right? And I'm only like 5'7". But I wanted to do something where the rules were not as biased. And it's kind of funny because it's 40 years later and you can still say the same thing, yeah. Right? So long story short, I got into épée, and that's where I met my best friend, Wesley McKinney, who's actually one of the assistant coaches at Columbia right now. And sophomore year, we're kind of like teaching ourselves. He was a fencer from New Orleans. Then I qualified, and I hear you guys talk about the Junior Olympics a lot in your podcast. I qualified for the Junior Olympics. It was 15-person competition. I was very athletic, so I think I finished 3rd, and I qualified. It was in Orlando, Florida, and I got there, and I saw, wait, this is a real sport. This is incredible. So back then, it was multiple rounds. You'd have to fence 3 rounds before you get to the direct elimination. So first round, I went like 3-3, so I made it through. It was really cool. And next round, I went 1-5. It was 7-person pool. So I got knocked out, and I stayed to the end, saw the final 8, and most of the different individuals in that final 8 were from New York. And that's where I was like, all right, this sport is cool to me, right? I want to be good at it, and then I need to go to New York. And so that's how I got into it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Something clicked while you were talking there, Michael. I'm pulling it up on YouTube. Sorry for the pause, everyone.
We're going to overlay it here.
We might overlay it here, maybe not, but is this your YouTube account?
Oh, that's Caddo Magnet Fencing.
Yeah, so yes. Caddo Magnet Fencing posts a lot of stuff about fencing on the internet.
Yes.
And I did not realize they have a lot of vintage videos.
Yes.
I did not realize that, and they have almost 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, cool.
They have like interviews with Kolobkov, some greats. Like you've watched some of these videos almost undoubtedly. Just if you've watched some old school vintage fencing videos, who runs that account? Like some videos of Seth fencing from Montreal in 07.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like,
Well, so here's something you might not know about me.
yeah,
All right.
you run that YouTube account.
I don't run that YouTube account, but a lot of these old videos, especially in Épée, was a project that I had called fencing footage. I never knew that about me.
No, we're learning.
So in 1990.
If I'd known, maybe I would have gone
Yeah.
to Columbia.
Right, exactly, man. I should have told you about the, fencing footage. So when I was fencing competitively, I had to come up with a way to, pay for I wasn't getting the great funding that the two of you are getting from the New York Athletic Club, right?
not.
I was getting some, but I needed to find a way. And so I came up with this idea because there was no YouTube actually at the time and really no fencing videos. So came up with this idea. I bought a $2,000 camera, and I never made a top 8 at a World Cup. But when I was traveling, I'd always film the top 8. So a lot of that video in there is from fencing footage. The slogan was a man, a cam, a video cam, a man, a plan, a video cam. All right. So from 1998 to 2005, that's how I supported my fencing. And then licensing.
You would sell the videos?
Sell the videos.
So you were the first Cyrus of Chaos.
Oh, yeah.
Did you tell Andrew about that idea and then he kind of took it and ran with
No,
it?
Andrew ran with himself. But I think Andrew knew. There was also a guy named Craig Harkins.
Okay.
Forgot the name of that. We'll have to look it up and maybe you'll post it,
All right.
put it up here.
Potentially.
But
We'll
another
see.
like fencingpictures.com
Okay.
or something like that. And so there were 3 different videos of Gulabitsky. I sold those. I sold all the hand cam. And so right now what I'm doing, right, because I recently, I had some great footage of Elvis Gregory from the 1997 Winnipeg Zonal Championships. All right. And I told him about it when we were fencing Ohio State. And so I was like, would you like that? Oh, yeah. So he's like, Michael, that's great. And I said, I have a lot more. I have the 1998 World Championships when I was there, 1999. So from 1997 through like 2005, I have a lot of great vintage footage that I'm shifting through now, converting it to that it will come out one day. So
That's awesome.
there you
I'm
go. Something you
excited.
did not know
I
about
am
me.
Yeah,
very
thank
excited
you
to
for
watch
sharing
those old
that.
videos.
It's always nice to have other fencing nerds on this podcast.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, I love those videos. Like these
Yeah.
older videos of some of the greats, and just I like fencing from that era. I think it was beautiful. It was so smooth. The actions were so clean. It's my favorite era to really watch. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see as you dig through these
Yeah.
and start to post them. Like, let me know. I'll be tuning in.
Are you
What-
willing to part ways with some Wang Lei footage?
So I don't have too much Wang Lei.
All right. No,
Yeah, but I have a lot of Seth Kelsey.
That's good.
A lot of Seth
That's
Kelsey.
Good. That's
Yeah,
good.
a lot
He'll
of
be
Seth
excited
Kelsey.
to hear that. Or maybe he won't
Maybe
be.
he won't
Yeah.
be.
We'll see.
Oh no, this is Seth at the peak. He's great.
No, we know it's great, but I don't know if Seth likes perceiving himself. We got to ask.
Yeah.
No, thank you. That was a really awesome sidebar. I like that. That is something that we had no idea about you.
Yeah.
Before you came onto this podcast. So thanks for sharing about your initial, intro to fencing, how you got hooked. And that might be the answer to the next question. And you might be figuring out what the next question is, being a seasoned listener of our podcast. But that you said it was 1985 or so?
The Junior Olympics was 86. I think I
Junior
started
Olympics was
85.
86, and that's when you
Or- yeah,
realized,
87.
I need to be in New
86,
York, right?
Yeah.
And right now is 2025. We're approaching 2026 very soon. And here you are in New York, and you spent the last 40 years being incredibly immersed in this sport. You've taken the sport, and the sport has taken you, vice versa, on a really long and beautiful journey.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a distinct moment for you that marked an all-in experience, as in I'm going to devote my life to this?
So I did hear this question before.
Yeah.
All right. And I'd say there's probably a few distinct all-in moments. One being my first Junior Olympics, realizing it's actually a sport. There's 1,000 kids instead of the 15 that I would compete against down in Shreveport, Louisiana. So that was definitely I'm all into this. Like let me try this. Then a funny story is, so my junior year, actually, I did even better. I made it through and I finished 35th in high school, like almost top 32. And so the next year, my goal was, I'm going to make the top 8 senior year in high school. Didn't make it out of pools. And it's a funny story because even with my friend Wes, it's like he always reminds me, he says, after that, I didn't want to spend any money in Colorado Springs. Like, I'm not spending any money here. He's like, well, how are you going to eat? Someone's going to have to buy it for me. Like, I was like, this is the worst day of my life. Little did I know, right? But at that time, I got into NYU, right? So this was February, and then I guess a month later, it's like I got into NYU, which was my dream, to be at NYU, be in New York. The Summer Nationals before, I met George Mason, and George Mason, who is an NYU alum as well, 2-time Olympian, New York Athletic Club member.
Three-weapon champion of Wisconsin.
Three-weapon champion of Wisconsin, exactly. So at the time, when I was 18, George was 44. So he was like the old guy. So now I wonder what people think about me. I'm 54, right? Like, I'm the really old guy. But George said, yeah, just come to the New York Athletic Club. And this is going to get to that all-in moment, right? Yeah. Come to the New York Athletic Club. So I walk into the New York Athletic Club, and I hear, I think when some of you guys and some of the other people talk about New York Athletic, I walk in, at that time, it was John Normile, Chris O'Loughlin, this guy, Joe Sokoloff, Jim Carpenter, Miles Phillips, Bruce Jugan, and then some of these young guys like Ben Atkins and this other guy, Dan Chardlick, and we can keep going on, right? It's like, wow, so I felt like I'm at the Olympics and I have this great opportunity, and let me see what I can do. So I went from not making it out of the pools my senior year of high school to making my first top 8 at the Junior Olympics my freshman year in college. So after I made the top 8, I was like, yeah, with this environment, right, and with these people that are supporting me, both NYU, New York Athletic Club, and sort of my hunger to be as good as I can get, I was like, all right, I'm really going to try. And then the next summer nationals, at the time, like now we call it the under 20 event. At the time, it was like the under 19 national championships. I finished second. And so it's like, wow, I'm on a roll here. And then I made my first top 24 in the Division I. And I remember because I beat John Normile in the pools, but then he beat me in the D. I never beat John Normile in the D, right? And so that's like my second like all-in moment. And then it was just always like, yeah, fencing's great, fencing's great. And I don't want to go any further. I want you to guide this conversation, but I feel when I was in New York with that environment, I was like, yeah, let's see how far we can take it because I really like the sport.
Yeah. No, thanks for sharing.
No, and I feel like I've had a similar experience. It's different. I didn't go to college in New York, but just that experience of meeting George Mason and then coming and training in New York and having these senior guys in a practice going from my small club where I had a couple people to fence, and then all of a sudden it's like the Olympics,
Right.
You have all these senior guys who you've been watching medal. And then I made my first time in repechage right after I visited here. So it's funny, the parallels and the journeys that we all go on. But no, that's great. It's great to hear that you achieved that dream, right? You met that checkpoint and you were able to harvest more fruits from that. It's not enough just to, check it off the list, but then you have to make the most of that opportunity. And it sounds like you were able to.
Right. Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yeah, it continues to be fun, it seems. I mean, I think that ever since I started fencing at the, I want to say, 17 and under level, it's like the more serious national competitions, I think you have been a prominent face in my memory of fencing. So seeing that you went from an eager kid to then an eager, still a kid, but a college student, and slowly seasoning into, adulthood. And then by the time Steven and I came around, you're in your, I would say 40s at that point, like 30s, 40s, late 30s, early 40s, around the time that we're getting into it. You're starting your NCAA coaching career right around the time that we're becoming of age to start thinking about college. And then here we are years later, and, you're still very involved in fencing, and it's continuing to evolve. And I think it's cool to see the sport not necessarily just as a competitor, but just the spirit of the sport guide you along your journey. I guess a question that I have outside of our planned questions is, what is the longest amount of time that you spent away from the sport in its entirety, if at all? You know, whether it's I stopped fencing and then there was a big break before I started doing other things really fencing related, or was it a seamless transition and then you've continued along that path? So, because I know there was a period in time where you were a chairman of New York Athletic Club, but not the Columbia fencing head coach. During that period of time, from my understanding, you were doing something else, right?
Yeah. So here, I'll bridge it.
No, keep bridging. Yeah, this is great.
All right. So after college, and some people might or might not know this about me. So I graduated from NYU, Stern School of Business undergrad, and I thought I was going to go into marketing. And my dream was to make the Olympics. I mean, that was the dream, and most competitive fencers, that is a dream. So I was shooting for the 1996 Olympics. I didn't make it. I was competitive. I was kind of up there in the top 15, sometimes even top 10, but it's far from the top 4. I feel I gave it my best, but one of the things that I always tried, my dream was always I wish I could just fence. Why do I have to work? And it's always it's
daily conversation.
Right. I wish I could just fence. I can just fence. I actually had this great opportunity of a fencing company. There's a fencing company called Blade Fence and Equipment. Most people don't know about it.
They have the fencing bags. That's probably the thing that and the strips lasted longer than anything else.
So Blade Fence and Equipment was the largest fence and equipment supplier back in the 90s, even in the 80s. And a lot of different companies came from Blade. So Blue Gauntlet came from Blade. A worker from Blade started Blue Gauntlet, and then a worker from Blue Gauntlet started Absolute. So it all kind of came from Blade Fencing. And I worked there for almost 4.5 years while I was fencing. So when I was going to World Cups, I'd bring fencing equipment with me, sell it.
You were one of the Ukrainian guys.
Yeah. No, I was selling stuff, right? But then it got so crazy where I would hook up for a match, and the referee would be like, "Hey, Michael, we need to talk about our order." And I was like,
"You're like, you need to talk about my touches."
All right. I was like, "Okay." And then I'm hitting bell guards with the fencer, and he's like, "Yeah, we need to talk about our school order." And I was just like,
"Good guys,
I'm the fencing equipment vendor now. I want to be Michael the fencer, right?" So, but anyways, so when it comes to fencing equipment, I'm very knowledgeable because of my experience there. I traveled all over the world. My biggest territory was South America, so I was down South America a lot, and it was a lot of fun. But then, it was already 1999, 2000. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to make the Olympics. I love fencing. I'm going to still do it, but I need to find a real job. Even though that was a real job, I just didn't see it. That's when the internet was kind of starting up, and the concept of payments online was coming around and everything. And so a friend of mine from NYU, his name is AJ Aurora, started this company called eRSVP, online RSVPs, kind of like an Evite. So I worked with him for a year, and he taught me everything. And when the funding kind of ran out from that company, another company came along, and this is the connection through fencing. Cliff Bayer, New York Athletic Club,
amazing
foil fencer, first men's foil fencer to win, World Cup and everything. He was working for a lawyer that invested in this other company that said, "Hey, Michael, you'd be great." So I got into the tech sales world, right? I was selling large enterprise databases. Our clients were nonprofits, helping them raise money online. But while I was doing that, I was still fencing. So I was known as the fencing guy, kind of like in your companies, you're known probably as the fencing guy, right? And I was using all vacation days and everything to travel and kind of do all that, right? And I was on the committee for the New York Athletic Club. Chris O'Loughlin was the chairman at the time. That's when I came up with this idea of the High School Invitational, which is very popular. We're going to bring it back this year.
Yes.
Where we invite the top 12 men and women high school fencers, and we came up with that idea. And then Chris wanted to do some things, and the New York Athletic Club position is a volunteer position. So, it's completely voluntarily. And so Chris said, "I think you'd be great at it." I was like, "Really?" Yeah, Michael, you'd be great. And he goes, but you need to change your athletic membership to the full resident membership. That's a big difference in money, but it's like, I was like, this is cool. I can really make an impact. And so that was 2007. And, that's when we really, at the time, USA Women's Épée wasn't that strong. And I knew Tracy and Bob Hurley back from Louisiana. They're from Texas, right? And they had these 2 young daughters at the time that I probably was beating up on them, when they were like 12, fencing against me when I was in my 20s, right? But at the time, Team Hurley was doing really great. And so we spoke to them and say, hey, how about the New York Athletic Club? And then we reached out to Maya Lawrence and Lindsay Campbell, and we started this whole women's épée, kind of what we're doing now with the men's épée program, weekend camps and different things. And, so I'm running the New York Athletic Club while I'm working. And then the Columbia opportunity.
What year was that?
2011.
All right.
So 2011.
That was George Kalambadovich was no longer there.
George Kalambadovich was retiring.
Yeah.
And so the big job came out. I wasn't even going to apply. A lot of my friends were applying. And then, back to my friend, Wesley McKinney, he said, Michael, you would be doing Columbia an injustice if you did not apply. So, I give him credit. And a lot of the Columbia fencers that were at the New York Athletic Club, while I was chairman, they said, you'd be perfect for this. You should do it. So that's a funny story, actually, my interview with Columbia. Did I ever tell you about that?
No, are you okay sharing it here?
Yeah. No, so it was exciting. It's like, I never coached college. I'm managing the New York Athletic Club, and there's a lot of great stories, I'd say, from the New York Athletic Club. We don't have enough time on this, but a lot of great stories that I felt were a little breakthrough when it comes to bringing teams together and different things. But so I came to Columbia, and it was a big deal because George was coaching there for 32 years. So they haven't had a new coach, George and Aldar Kogler. So I went there with a 4-year plan where Columbia can be competitive in the NCAA Championships. Because when I fenced against Columbia in the 90s, they won the NCAA Championships twice. And the other 2 times, they were second to Penn State. So all I knew was Columbia as being like winners. And then right before I came, I was kind of looking up, and I just didn't know. And it's like, wait a minute. Their men's team is last for the last 2 years in the Ivies. Like, what's going on? Their women's team was doing all right, but just falling a little short. So I gave them like this 15-minute talk on how we can be competitive in 4 years. And the room was really quiet. And I was like, oh, man, they don't like this. And then one of the alumni, named Steve Buckman from the class of 1959, he raises his hand. He goes, Michael, what about the Ivy League championships? I'm an NYU grad. I'm thinking like, what is the Ivy League championships? I don't even know what it is. But my quick thinking, right? I'm like, we'll do that in 3. And they're like, oh man, that's great. Because the Ivy League championships, now, being in this now, it's my 15th season. The Ivy League championships is awesome. It's like, it's a great tournament. It's so much fun. And it's like, it's a battle between all the Ivies. It's awesome, right? And so I said that. And then a couple more interviews later, and like, yep, you're our guy. Yeah. And the cool thing was 3 years later, we win the Ivies, and 4 years later, we win the NCAAs. And they're like, you told us. I'm like, no, I said we'd be competitive. Nope, you told us. So I'm like, all right.
It's good.
Yeah.
Because when we were figuring out, colleges, Columbia was the team to beat.
Yeah.
So it's funny, full circle.
Yeah.
How it all comes around.
Well, so going back to that plan, I remember the first time I ever had any interaction with you in 2013 or 2014. I can't remember which one. I think it was 13. You came to Los Angeles to just speak at LAIFC, and maybe you had other business there, but I remember you were there and you just gave a panel talking about college fencing, and I was a freshman in high school, so I
didn't even know you were there. That's so cool. Like, he was there. I didn't even know. Right?
But you remember the panel?
I remember the panel.
Yeah. And I remember you said something along the lines of, "You have my word that Columbia will be in the top 2 at NCAA Championships." I believe you said within the next 2 years. And I remember I spoke to one of my club mates who went to St. John's, and I went like, "You hear that? That guy said Columbia's gonna be top 2 in the next 2 years. Like, do you believe that?" And he said, "I would be shocked if they weren't." Like I'd be more surprised if he was incorrect. And then sure enough, it was either the, you know, 1 year or 2 years later, you guys won.
Yeah.
And I remember that interaction and I was like, yeah, he called it. Like he really called the shot in front of a bunch of teenagers at this panel, but you really like absolutely called the shot on that one. It was.
And what's funny, I'm a more of a under promise, over deliver type of person, but you can see it, right? I'm sure when you guys were on the Notre Dame team that won the championship, like you can see it. And if it doesn't happen, it's because some bad luck or
Ari and Steven were your men's Épée representatives.
I'm going to tell you, like,
You're welcome for 2019.
2019, like, you know, I was waiting for the question, who are your favorite fencers, right?
Yeah.
And we might get to that later, but I was going to joke and say Ari and Steven in 2019. Because you're our most feared fencers, right? You're our most feared fencers in 2019. And after that first day, I was like, you know, God bless America. Like, you know, this is them kind of paying me back for not coming back to Columbia, you know, or, you know, but all kidding aside,
That's
right?
awesome.
Funny.
That was a good
Yeah.
one.
I wish you had. I'm happy you told us, but I think we would have laughed even harder if you didn't tell us and you said that.
We've gotten our fair share of shit over the years. That was a really good one.
Yeah.
I think Cedric might laugh or cry with that. He doesn't cry. He would just be like, "Yeah, no, that makes sense. You gave it to him."
No, I remember like kept looking and I was like, all right, Steven. Yeah, I was like, man, God, like this is great. Like, just keep going.
Yeah, I think the problem was we were looking too.
Yeah.
It just got worse. Wow. So back to getting back on track.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was great. What sparked your fire? What about fencing, you know, made it special to you? You said you wanted to do it because it was going to help your running, and then you saw that it was a real sport, but that alone isn't why you're still here. What about fencing is special in your mind that, you know, something that's kept you going in it for so long? Other than, actually, no, I won't give you any. I'll let you.
Yeah. Well, so I'd say as a athlete, it was just being competitive. I'm very competitive in everything, right? And this was something fun. I wanted to see how good I can get, and that's that. At a coaching level, it's definitely evolved over the 14. It's my 15th season right now, and even longer if you include the New York Athletic Club. So a lot of times people, they say, you know, so like, what does a fencing coach do? And then rather than kind of list all the different things, and head coach positions different than assistant coaches and different things like that, but like when I look at my job description, I really look at it as I'm creating an environment where people can do their best work, right? Both at the New York Athletic Club and at Columbia. Now, at the New York Athletic Club, when I first started, I was very hands-on, trying to get some things. Now, probably the one thing I'd be a little bit more hands-on is the neatness of the room, right? But other than that, what's the best thing for the New York Athletic Club is letting you guys go with it, right? So what can I do at Columbia to create this great environment where people can do their best work? And at first, though, it was all about the championships. It's like, let me prove people wrong. Let me prove to them that, you know, I, as a head coach, can put together the right team to win championships and do all these different things. And I read a great book by John Wooden. Well, I read many great John Wooden books, right? And on the first book I ever read from him, in the foreword, it says, John Wooden said this, to some of my best friends, may I wish they win a national championship. Because he won 12, I think.
You won quite a few.
A lot, right?
We actually had a John Wooden quote in one of the earlier episodes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So may I have, like he said, may my best friends win national championships and my worst enemies win many. And I was like, what? What is this guy talking about? I want to win a lot of NCAA championships. But when you win, even as you guys know, then the expectations are here.
Yep.
And with expectations, right, becomes this, what we call, you know, I call it like this artificial pressure that you put in your head. And it's not as fun. And so there were even some times as a coach, I remember when we won the Ivy championships, I was like, whew, I felt relieved. I didn't feel the joy. The first one is joy. Second one, like, wow, how we do this, right? This is crazy. Because also as a coach, I'm looking, and I see everything that could be better. I might not say it, but I see it and I try to adjust it in our plans and do different things. But then when you're winning all the time, then everyone, like I always say, the athletic director of our university, he expects us to win every year. Probably the same at Notre Dame, probably the same at some other schools, right? Our alumni, they expect us to win every year. Even our team, we expect to win every year. And that's where I had to shift, like the goal of, we all know the expectation, but what's our goal? Let's maximize our potential. And that's where you kind of get into, well, now we can control this. And so when everyone says, what's your dream day? And I think Belichick from the Patriots said this, is like to have a great practice. I want us to be the best practice team in America, right? It's something we can control. So, the why fencing, fencing as a coach it's like I really can help these young student athletes. It's anywhere from 17 to 23, sometimes 24, 25, right? Reach their dreams. And then the longer I've been in this, it's more than fencing. It's about life. And here's something interesting I just learned last year after 14 years of coaching. One of my biggest frustrations as a coach, and I know you guys talk about, and I love what you're saying about parents, relax, like parents, let it go, the flow, right? One of my biggest frustrations as a head coach, right, at a university that we have great, hungry, talented individuals, is they stop fencing after college. Like I was shocked when I first got here and I was frustrated, as the years were going on. But then some of the best fencers that fence all the way through college, not the ones that would, after 2 or 3 years, which doesn't happen at Columbia anymore, but that would just stop it. When they go through the 4 years and they give 100% and then drop their foil or their saber, their épée, then, because now I have 14 years of alum that I've seen, it's like, no, they're fighting for points, right? But now they're fighting for their patient, or now they're fighting for a patent because they're a lawyer, right? Or they're fighting for a sale, or they're fighting for this. It's like fencing definitely helped me in my life when I was in business. But we see how if you give them the best possible everything and you teach them these great habits that can turn into good behaviors, you're teaching them for life. And so that's like why I do it. And that's, the joy that I get out of it. And still want to win championships because it's fun winning as a team in a sport like fencing.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. No, a lot of things, a lot to unpack there, but I really like that, your job as a coach is to prepare them to fight, to be a competitor. And these principles of being a competitor, whether it's fencing or basketball or judo or whatever it is, if you're a good competitor, you can perform at a championship and pursue this great title, then you can go on and some things you might not even realize you're learning, or some of these principles, you can apply that to, like you said, being a lawyer, being a salesman, being whatever you want to be. And so I guess that's a good way to reframe, the loss of some of this great fencing talent post-college is they're just applying that talent in their professional lives, but they're still using those principles.
Absolutely.
So it's you got to look at that and, be very happy as a coach that you were able to teach or instill this into them.
The frustration is not there now because you give yourself and the team 100% all the way through college, like to that last NCAA Championships, you'll get more from our sport after college, whether you continue it or not. And those that continue it, great. Yeah. Come to the New York Athletic Club, right?
Please do. Don't, you already have quite a bit of experience of people that are out in the network of former competitive collegiate fencers, that both people that were in your program, you had people that went on to the Olympic Games, Olympic champion now. You also have people that are in med school, lawyers, bankers. You have coaches in the fencing community. You have people that are still fencing. The net is super wide. There are people that are in media. You have agents. You have talent industry, and it's cool to see. And then I know that you have done a good job fostering this alumni student connection that a lot of universities struggle to build. And you host events like the alumni meet that you do every year that just recently happened. where the alumni get to come and engage with the fencers. But they would only do that if they cared about their experience at Columbia. You know, not everyone comes back even if they had a good time, I'm sure. But,
Right.
you know, to get anyone to come back, they have to care a little.
Yeah.
And you seem to have quite a bit of buy-in for that. You mind elaborating a little bit on that?
So when it comes to say, the Columbia fencing team and the experience that I want, and so I'm like, Steve Armando was the head coach back at NYU when I was there. And, you know, he gave me a gift. Like, again, I always wonder how I got into NYU, right? That's another story. But I had a great experience right there. But then I always say to myself, and you might have heard this before, is like when you kind of leave a legacy, you wanted to always leave it better than when you're there. And so part of my planning of being a coach at Columbia is, how can I make even a better student-athlete experience than that I had, which was a great experience at NYU, but how can I make it even better? And then how can we compete, which is fun? And when we're competing against schools like Notre Dame, right, that where, you know, money's no object really, and you have all these great resources, because thanks to GIA, I went there actually right after the pandemic and had a great tour, and I see it, and I was like, wow, you know, this is like Disneyland.
I remember seeing you there. Yeah.
Yeah, like this is awesome, right? So we have to kind of create our mini Notre Dame at Columbia, but then with the experience that everybody matters. And that's something that's very important to me. It's one of the hardest challenges, especially, and I know you guys were part of a big team, right? Columbia probably is one of the largest teams, definitely the largest team in the Ivy, both with our recruited athletes and with our walk-ons. This year we're 48 individuals between the women and the men. And when you only have, you know, 18 competing, 9 women, 9 men, and even travel teams of 15 to 15, sometimes, you know, it's very hard. And so, you know, one of my philosophies, our philosophies, is everyone would have their moment, and you got to be always prepared for that. But everything you do all the time is going to help the team be our best, because we're in a sport where it's me versus you, right? That's fencing. It's me versus you. And now we have to shift to me with you, right? It's me with you. You give your best, I'll give my best, and we're going to rise together. So, and I feel that's happening at the New York Athletic Club as well. A lot of shared ideas, and you know, we're all competing, but a lot of different things. So with this culture of everybody matters, right? We have what we call the help the helper culture. There's a book called Help the Helper. It's actually a basketball play, Help the Helper. I don't even know it, but the book, our team's been reading it since 2015. Everybody reads it. Every year we all do group reports on it, but it's like all about doing the extraordinary to help people become the best they can be. When you're in that environment for 4 years, you come back, right? You want to be, because once you leave that environment, the world isn't so help the helper, right? The world isn't going to help you out or understand that you're sick, and, you know, I mean,
Or care that you fence.
right, exactly, right? You know, so with that, right, it's like it's a nice place. And I think a lot of our student athletes, after they graduate now for a couple of years, I believe they appreciate it now. But when they leave a few years later, you're like, wow, that was great. Right? And so to get back together, it's always a good time. And whenever we do get back together, what's the alumni meet or our annual banquet, I always try to make it a cool experience. Like, we don't want to just have a banquet. Like, we want to have a banquet, right? We want to make it like incredible, and some fun speeches, and, you know, it's in Low Library and it's great. And the alumni meet, you know, we're going to try to get as many different people in and tell some fun stories. And once you do that, it's just a great time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I absolutely, the alumni network that I, you know, interacting with some friends who were on the Columbia team years ago, and seeing people come back from out of town, and people who have, you know, dropped the foil, dropped the saber, dropped the épée, and just re-interacting with these people that I knew through my Columbia friends. Like, that alumni network runs deep, and they do stay very close, even, you know, a decade after they graduated. So it's just a testament to the environment and the culture that you built there. I did have 2 questions.
Yeah.
The first one is on my head right now, but going back to the mentality after winning a championship, right? you were able to go back to back, and then you had the other one, the single. After winning one, what is that approach? Because I know we sort of touched on you have to make it fun. You have to deal with the additional pressure, but there is that additional pressure. Was your mentality in those years after winning a championship, attack it, work extra hard, or was it, hey, recognize there? I won't even offer up the samples or whatever what I'm thinking, but what was your sort of approach for the team in those years right after winning?
So you brought back a moment, right? And I know some of these moments I get very emotional, but you brought back.
Cry for us, man.
Yes. Hey, it might happen, right? It might happen.
We'll cut it.
Yeah. No,
we
no,
won't cut it.
Keep
we
it.
want it. Yeah.
Keep it. Right. Some people think, well, I guess some people think I'm too nice, but some people don't know me, right? So this is a chance for them to get to know me. I'm a nice guy, but I'm a serious guy. So after the 2015 NCAA Championship, I got the whole team together. So actually that year we won the Ivy Championships as well. So as a coach, the men in the Ivy Leagues, we have these ties. All right, if you want to hear a good Ivy League story, remind me if we have time, okay? But we have these ties. So our men tied like a two-way tie in 2015, it was like a three-way tie, but you get to win. But our women went outright. So we won the Ivies, all right? And then we won the NCAAs. I'll never forget when we won the NCAAs, like, everybody's doing the calculations. Someone comes up, they're like, Coach, you won. And I was like, what? And then like everyone's looking at their phone. It says national champion. I remember they were like, Coach, did we win? Did we win? Did we win? I'm like, just keep fencing. I don't believe this. I don't just keep going, right? So we brought the team together and I said, guys, who here thought that we can win the Ivy League championships at the beginning of the season? And no, I'm sorry. This is what. So I asked the question, when we got here at the beginning of the year, who thought that we would win Ivies? And no one raised their hand. Okay? And then I'm like, by January, because that's the St. John's Cup, and you start fencing like, some strong schools, and you start seeing we're winning everything. Who thought that we can win Ivies and NCAAs? And you saw a few hands. I'm like, really? And like, yeah, Coach, we believed. I'm like, okay. And then who thought that we were going to win the NCAA championships? And it wasn't that many people. And I was like, well, guys, honestly, I was trying my best as a head coach, but I never thought we would win. But that entire year, we would always cheer, who are we? And we'd say champions. So it was kind of interesting. Like I was telling the team, you have to believe it before you can achieve it. But yet, I believed it, but again, I see all the holes and the gaps, right? And so I said, we accomplished everything you do in college. We won the Ivies, we won the NCAAs, there's nothing more to do. Now's a good time to retire at the top. That's what I said, like now's the time, like seniors, wow, what a departure, 2015, all right? And those were my freshmen that I inherited, okay? And then my first recruiting class were about to be seniors. I'm like, but if you want to try to do it again, who's with me? Because it's going to be hard. Because everybody's going to want to beat us. Before, no one believed, not even ourselves. But it's going to be hard. And what I found really interesting, right, about that year was everyone did, because everyone wants to beat the national champions, right? You beat the national champions, and the next thing in your article, your school article, it says, whatever team beats Columbia, national champions, right? And even if we didn't win that year, beat the 2015 national champions, right? Because whatever they beat in the dual matches. But I believe that really prepared us to win it again, because everyone all year is giving us their best, which means we have to give our best. And so I'm not going to say 2016 was easier, because that would be a complete lie. We're fighting for every touch, right? Every point. But it's just like, kind of just felt natural. So the mentality was like, yeah, we achieved something incredible. But who wants to really go all in and do it? So, and we even said champions do extra and, all these different things. Much different mentality than my mentality now. But still, that was the philosophy, like attack it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just was curious to hear, because just in my own experience and the experience of the team, I felt like the approach from day one in that season after winning, and it goes into what we've spoken about multiple times on this podcast, and how do you deal with periods of success and periods of defeat? And it's easy to be motivated by losing, but how do you stay motivated when you're winning?
Right.
And in my experience, on that day one speech that we received, it was a good year when that speech was, we're going to hell and we're going to work really hard and we're going to win again. And it went less well in the years where it was like, we're going to have fun, And so I was just curious if the experience of the Columbia team in those years was similar. And I will share a bit anecdotally. Our coaches at Notre Dame, or Cedric specifically, always said, the Columbia team, after they won that next year, they made this video, I am a champion. And there was, some video, I don't remember the specifics of it. I vaguely remember the video. And he said, and a bunch of the Notre Dame people were like, look at this stupid video. And they were laughing at it,
I'll tell you the story behind that, but keep going.
I am a champion, what does that mean? He said, and all these people, all these student athletes at Notre Dame were making fun of this video.
Oh, yeah, everybody's making fun of us.
And he goes,
I heard about it.
Yeah. And he goes, but they, to their credit, they went and they did it. And he goes, so I told them, like, they're going to work hard and they're going to try and do it again. And so you can make fun of them or you can outwork them. And nobody outworked you guys that year. You guys went and did it again. You were champions.
So I need to give a shout out to Verb Fitness, okay? Ahmed Elia, who was working with it at the time, and during one of our speed and agility trainings, he said, "Who are we?" And everyone's like looking around. Columbia. He's like, "Who are we?" And he wanted us to say champions. And we were saying it, but we didn't believe it. But slowly, like that year, we started believing. And then one of our fencers, a guy named Angad Singh, he was a good videographer, and he went on to do that also, Épée fencer. And he found this video, and we just kind of copied it. It was a football one. It's like, who are we? I am a champion. And so everyone on the podcast can look up, I am a champion, Columbia fencing. And right before we published it, the captains came to me, and they're like, Coach, don't publish it. Don't do it. I'm like, why not? It's awesome, man. Like, I loved it. It was great. They're like, don't do it. Everybody's going to make fun of us. Right? And so I said, they can't make fun of you if we win. And I just went, beep, published it. Went out there. Every competition we walk into there, look, it's the champions.
And then you guys would win.
And we took that and we wrote it and we killed it, right? And then in 2016, people were like, oh, we got to respect Columbia now. And then we won it again. And then in 2017, we were like, we're going to three-peat. We're going to do it. And then we got third. And, yeah, that's right. You guys won 2017, 2018. And it's like, and wow, like if we would have gotten third my third year or a fourth year at Columbia before we won, I would have been so happy. But once you win, it's just like third feels like failure.
For us, it was back-to-back and then third.
Right, back third when we won 2019.
We know. And it is a feeling of dismay, and it's funny because perspective is just the key to making it all make sense. And it's cool to hear.
Let me just add one thing.
Yeah, of course.
Last year was, and I know I'll have some alumni listening, like, they always want their year to be the best year. And I'd say every year was the best year, right? But last year, when it came to the way I saw our team helping each other and the culture, and of course, all the other years, but like last year was one of my most favorite years of embracing the process, not worrying about outcomes, and just let's try to maximize our potential. And we had some bad luck with some injuries or whatever. I'm not making excuses, but last year we got second in the women, second in the men in the IBs, and second in the NCAAs. We didn't win anything, but like it was one of my most favorite years as a coach with the team when it came to just many different things of accomplishment for, like life, right?
Can I give you some advice?
Yes, give me some advice, Ari.
Don't let one touch ruin a bout.
Yeah, right.
Don't let one bout ruin a competition.
Yeah,
don't let one competition ruin a season, and don't let one season ruin a career. And there's some moments where you can compete well and have all the right pieces, and it just doesn't pan out the way that you imagined. But that should not, that should not take away from that feeling you have about the team. And you should, I guess, in many ways, obviously be sad that it didn't work out, but the fact that you guys are out here getting second, you're still competitive.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the things that made them your favorite stick, whether or not they.
Well, and I feel bad for the student athletes.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Of course, because they give it everything.
They give it everything. And so, every year we have different themes, right?
Yeah.
This year, NCAA basketball, if you remember, all the basketball players, they wore the shirts, "Nothing's easy." Do you remember seeing that in March Madness? So I got one from our basketball coach. I'm like, so in our first meeting, it's like, let's stop saying, oh, if we do this, this will be easy. So nothing's easy. And then you've heard many people talk about choose your hard, right? Nothing's easy, choose your hard. Like choose your hard, saying eating healthy is hard. Not eating healthy is hard. Choose your hard, right?
Yeah, which one?
Right. And so for us, it's like, giving everything you have and losing a championship by one touch is hard, but not giving everything you have and losing one touch probably is going to be a lot harder. The regret of not giving everything you have. So
it's true.
There you go.
I like that. Choose your hard, and it's important to remember because we're just feeding this perspective conversation where you're going to walk away with a lot more pride. I mean, I guess you can have equal number of lessons learned regardless, but it depends on how you choose to learn. But a lot more pride knowing you gave it your all and it just didn't amount to whatever, because then there's nothing more you can do. So let's pivot a little bit.
Yeah,
we got 2 more questions, and we got to start wrapping it up a little. I just want to talk about one thing that's topical for NCAA and then one thing that's bigger just for fencing. So first one for the NCAA, I'll ask them both now just so we get them out there, and then we can kind of just start rolling with your answers. So 2 very different questions. One, do you think that the NIL era has made your job harder? We are part of a niche sport, and you're our first NCAA head coach that we're speaking with. So I'm very curious as to how the NIL era has just interacted with fencing altogether. So has it made your job harder? And the next question is totally separate. What would you like to see change in the sport of fencing? So we can remind you of that one, but I just want to put them out there. But first one, NIL.
So what I'd say is today it has not made my job harder. I'd be curious of any other fencing coaches. We have not had any of our student athletes receive any of these multi-million-dollar offers yet. I hope so, right? I think that'd be great. When I do look back at some fencers that didn't go to college because they couldn't do certain things, I think it would have been beneficial, right, for college fencing as well. What I will say is we do have some of our student athletes now that they're like being sponsored by some equipment vendors, right? Do we have any pre-year?
Not yet.
Not yet. That's good. All right.
Not yet.
See that plug there?
But
All right. Some equipment vendors, some products, some different things, which is great, but it has not affected me in any way and has not changed my job.
So NIL era for Columbia fencing, no different really, other than maybe help some fencers.
Right.
So you're
help some fencers. Some fencers got some really cool product.
So you're a fan of NIL?
Today I'm a fan.
All right.
All right. Today I'm a fan.
Made it sound so loaded.
Yeah. Got to ask some clickbaity questions.
Right.
Clickbaity questions for clickbaity clips.
If I were a football coach or basketball coach, I could see how that can get in the way.
Yeah, but you're not, so we won't talk about it.
Right. Exactly.
But all right, so we had to test the waters with that one.
That was a good question.
But yeah, you've been in the sport for a long time, over 40 years now, but 40 years since that moment of eureka, wow, this is a real sport. Yeah, you've been through a lot of eras in fencing. You've been there as a competitor, as a coach, you've been in the equipment side of things. So this is a really open-ended question.
Yeah.
What would you like to see change in the sport of fencing?
You always are happy with the way things are until you see something new, right? And what I would say is from when I started, a 5-touch bout was 6 minutes. 6 minutes. And when they moved it to 4, which it's 3 now, we were all complaining. And myself, right? I was like, are you kidding? How are we going to do this in 4 minutes? You guys were like laughing. You actually were able to go off the back of the strip once before, and then you line up on the 2-meter line. And then if you made it past the center, you can go off the back strip again. That's why it took so much time.
Oh, that's
So-
awesome. You like earn back your right to
Earn
just
back your
jump
right.
off the back.
Exactly. So 3 minutes is good,
Different game.
right?
Yeah, totally.
You could use
and-
that to your. Sorry,
Yeah.
That's crazy. You could.
Yeah.
like,
Oh no.
Really,
and,
like,
and then of course, Saber was not electric, and you can go off the back of the strip in Saber, which made Saber a longer bout, right? And you can cross your legs in Saber at the time, and so if anything, I feel when it comes to the rules, I feel fencing is being directed more as a spectator sport, right? I did like the idea of the passivity. I like that. I like the idea that was brought about where there would be almost like a shot clock.
you were a shot clock fan.
Yeah, I was a shot clock fan. I think that's cool because that even creates more urgency for épée, maybe even foil in some cases, right? So shot clock would be good because our sport, people understand épée once you explain it to them. Right, red light, green light. The first one to hit both lights means both. But with the other weapons, it takes a little bit of time,
I still don't got it.
right?
It's getting worse, actually.
And and I love all three weapons because as a head coach of college, right, all three weapons matter equally, right? But so I don't know, shot clock would be one. Shot clock. Sometimes you hear people, it needs to be bloody and go. I'm like, nah, come on.
Have I told you my idea?
No,
I got this from Jason Pryor one year at a training camp.
Okay.
It's my favorite
Yeah.
make fencing interesting
loves
idea.
this.
This
This
is my
is the hill he'll
All right.
die
This
on.
is my hill. I'm taking a stand. Taser fencing.
So when you hit, you get shocked.
Yeah. 15 touches or submission.
Oh my god.
That could become a reality show. Like that would sell because
Throw
people are
me-
like, people getting hurt.
Steve and I literally pitched it as a reality show. So
Yeah.
here we go. If
If you're interested,
future investors, hit us up.
I'd love to be a president of the Taser Fencing League.
I do feel like AI is going to be big into fencing. I'm even working right now with an AI company called Game Run as a consultant, trying to figure out, for scouting and for analyzing and different things like that. But I also feel it can be very useful for refereeing to help. I feel the instant, the video replay that you guys grew up with, like we didn't have that when I fenced. Like that is such a breakthrough. And to have video replay at NCAA Championships, when I was first a coach, we didn't have that. It was hilarious. Foil and saber, every touch would take like 3 minutes because the coaches would be arguing. But now, video makes it much better. So there has been a lot of technological advancements to make it smoother for fencers, but how can we make it for the world? So no changes in the rules that I can think of. I'm sure there's many great ideas out there. Maybe tasers is one of them. But I'm a big believer if we can get sports betting into fencing, people will become interested. Because really, do you really think people are interested in like thoroughbred horses? I mean, no, because they're trying to win money. Or back when there was dog races, or even there's people that bet all sports that they're studying stats, right?
People bet on
They bet on drone
Russian
races.
ping pong leagues.
Yes, right. And so we need to come up with an odds compiler. We use all 8 World Cups. You can bet on the winner at the end of the 8 World Cups, like the Super Bowl winner. Who's going to win the World Cup? Who's going to win the bout? Over/under points, sequential points. I mean, the parlays are incredible. But I feel that would bring a lot of interest.
We totally agree.
So
Steve and I are on board with that one.
there you go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Real quick charity plug before we carry along. So this is a podcast about passion. Fencing for a Purpose is a nonprofit organization founded by 3 young fencers to share their passion for fencing with communities that would otherwise be underserved by the sport. The organization has engaged many high school fencers across the country with the intent of giving back and paying it forward, with officers all over the country. They run camps for underrepresented community members, tutor international fencers in English, raise money and donate gear in order to support grassroots clubs that need funds in order to provide a better experience for their fencers. Their Instagram is @fencingforapurpose, and their GoFundMe is in our description.
Check it out.
All right, Steven.
All right.
The fun
So-
part.
Our time is almost up here. However, we like to get into our last and final segment, which we like to call one light answers. So whether it's épée, foil, or saber, to get one light off, you got to be quick and you got to be decisive. So whatever answer pops into your head first, let's hear it with conviction. Are you ready?
Ready.
Take it away.
Who are your 2 favorite fencers?
Well, I answered that before.
Okay, well, now you got to come up with two all new ones.
All right, so other
good
than
fencers.
Ari and Steven in the 2019 NCAA Championships,
Yeah.
I'm going to say Elmer Borman, all right, and Eric Schrecky.
Okay, I like
Good
those.
answers. Favorite city you've ever been to for fencing?
You know, many people said this because I thought about this one, right? Many people said this, but really, I love Budapest also. Like one of my favorites.
Amazing city.
It's a beautiful place. What was in your equipment bag that probably shouldn't have been?
Everything in my equipment bag should have been there because I'm a very organized person.
That's good. Good answer, Michael.
Who was the most challenging bout you've ever fenced?
I'm going to give 2, all right? I didn't even plan this. Number 1, Seth Kelsey definitely was one of the most challenging bouts. As easy as I thought as a simple fencer as he was not. And that guy could score on me. Anyway, I could be up 4-0, he beat me 5-4. The other one is John Moreau. John Moreau, who actually beat me on his path to winning the national
At
championships.
52.
Yes.
Oldest men's epéist to ever win a
Yes.
senior national championships in the U.S., and he beat another great fencer in the final, Soren Thompson.
Exactly. Yes. So John Moreau would be another one.
That's a great answer. Wonder if you'll have a great answer to this one, Michael.
All right. Let's see.
If you had to hire one of the current men's épéists from NYAC, the New York Athletic Club, as your épée coach at Columbia tomorrow, who would you choose?
That's like loaded here. I don't feel the pressure. So,
Yeah.
I mean, so if the smart Michael Aufrichtig
Yeah.
would try to go part-time for Steven Ewert and part-time for Ari Simmons, right? To get the best of both worlds, right? So that would be the smart Michael, right? So, and I'm a smart coach,
All right.
so that's what I would
There
do.
we go. PC answer, but we'll take it. We'll take it. You've been media trained. All
Yes.
right.
Suck it, Ryan Griffiths. Unlimited budget. What piece of issued gear are you getting for the Columbia fencing team?
That's a good one. A fencing gear?
Issued
Just
gear.
issued
Like,
gear.
it could be fur
Just
coats.
anything.
I don't know.
Yeah. What are you issuing the team with an unlimited budget as gear?
Fur coats is a very interesting idea, but I think I would get like the best quality robes.
Oh yeah,
love it.
didn't you guys
Right,
have
we
the
had robes,
The
right?
robes. Yeah.
Best quality robes, but actually the true answer, Michael Aufrichtig, smart Michael Aufrichtig coach, would ask the team what
there we
they
go.
would like, right?
go.
And we will get them that.
Nice.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
I love it.
What's your dream NIL deal for the Columbia team?
Dream NIL. So is that like a company? or-
NIL, dream sponsorship for the team, essentially, for the athletes on the team.
So recently I've been using the Com app,
Oh, yeah, that's good.
right? And so, and it just so happens one of my college roommates is the CEO of Com. And so if he's listening to this right now, I think Com app, right? Mental health, right? Locking in, meditation, that could be a really good NIL deal for Columbia.
I totally agree with you, Michael.
Those are also all topics that we visit on a certain podcast that would be,
Yeah, exactly.
Finally, what is your favorite piece of Prior equipment?
Favorite piece of pure equipment? Although I will say, because I haven't fenced in a while, when I was fencing, I used actually one time Prior pants. I'm talking like when I was in high school, and it was the best pants. But today, I will say the Pure socks, which we will be getting for the New York Athletic Club, are one of my favorite pieces of Pure fencing equipment.
All right. Thank you, Michael.
Excellent. Yeah.
That was great.
Good.
Thank you for joining us. I mean, really, there's always more that you can unpack in these stories. There are always more stories to share. There's always more knowledge to be gleaned from the experiences of the people that we have on our show. And that's why we started off, and I think we made the right decision when we started the show by always saying, till next time, because there's always, now that we have your story, ideally at some point, we're going to start recycling through guests and start just talking about other stories that are top of mind and really digging deeper into who they are and what they care about and their passions. And for that, I'll say thank you for starting this off. And hopefully we'll have you on again. And it was just really a pleasure to allow you to share your story, share a little bit of your journey across the fencing universe and the different sets of, you know, individual lives and groups that you've gotten to be a part of and inspire. And, you know, we're really thankful that you've gotten to be a part of our journey. Even though we said no the first time around, here we are.
Here we are. No, thank you guys. Good luck, right? Hope to be back again some other time.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I just wanted to thank you very quick again for taking the time to be on here. Thank you for the support of the New York Athletic Club and for being a part of both of our careers. It was amazing to hear. And just one final thought, I guess, it didn't occur to me how much control a head coach of a college fencing team actually has over the team, right? Just speaking to you about the 4-year plan, the themes, the messages, and how impactful those were from Gia with our time at Notre Dame. And I'm confident that the Columbia fencing team has a great captain at the helm, and I'm excited to see where you drive the ship in the coming years.
Thank you.
Looking forward to the next one. I have a funny story lined up for next time.
Right.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
One of the goals of this podcast is really bringing fencing out of its niche by highlighting the stories, journeys, and lessons of all the people involved, athletes, coaches, and everyone else in the village. And ultimately, your support means the world to us and helps with that mission. So please follow, like, share, and subscribe for more awesome episodes just like this one.
He didn't feel a thing. That's how strong this equipment is. Be sure to shop Prior USA, link in our bio.